Zoe.
And this is Easy Listening. This is, I think, the official third installment of the series. We had a mini 2.5 Back to the Future special, which we have on the channel for you guys to go check out. But this week we are talking all about horror. Yeah, so we have game collaborations between the Dead by Daylight series. We have the new releases on Netflix, and we also got some HHN updates. The newest house was released, which we're really excited about.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we'll just kind of work our way through the week, starting by the Dead by Daylight. So this week we got together and we played some of Dead by Daylight. We used the new Resident Evil characters, mainly Leon S. Kennedy, my personal favorite from the Resident Evil series, which those of you, we've been talking about all week. Once again, Resident Evil is a staple of horror and horror games, one of the zombie categories and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just got that added to Dead by Daylight, who has but has tons of collaborations with other series. You got to experience some. You didn't actually play with us.
No, I didn't. Next time, though.
Next time, we're going to get you on there. We'll do a little wind down Wednesday, and maybe Zoe will feel good enough to play some Dead by Daylight.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Dead by Daylight for a second. So the game, what did you think of the gameplay?
I thought it was awesome, especially when you played as the killer. I just like to see the different perspectives and the different gameplay between the survivors, or whatever, and
survivors,
the killer. Like, just the different gameplay that you can have, I think is just so cool. And I loved the different characters, like from Stranger Things, and you said Scream was on there, and then, of course, the Resident Evil pack. I thought that was so cool, and just, I thought it was fun. I loved watching the different strategies, I think, that people were going for, as far as, like, certain people were just focusing on, getting the generators up and running, and then some people were just going around and taking people off the hook, like, just the different type of gameplays that people were playing through, and of course the different killers, had different like special weapons that they used, and all that stuff. I thought it was awesome.
It's so much fun. Right now they're actually celebrating their 5 years. So this game has only been out for 5 years.
Wow.
And it's like, 5 years is a long time. But in a game world,
it's really not.
That is a brand new baby of a game.
Yeah.
Like, they are working out kinks as we play. Like, daily the community comes out and is like, we're updating something, we're changing something. They've done a lot of workarounds. Like, one of their killers, they have Freddy. They have a Nightmare on Elm Street collaboration. Freddy came out and his gameplay wasn't working. They went back, revamped it, changed it up and everything. So it's a lot of fun. They also do the public test builds. So you get to go in and you get to play these characters before they're ever released, and then through everybody's feedback and everything, they obviously go and change. This isn't something new that Dead by Daylight is doing, but it is something that they offer, which is a lot of fun because you get to do it almost every chapter or whatnot, which comes out like every 4 to 6 months or something, maybe a little longer in between. But that's a lot of fun, and something offered to the public very easily that they do, which is a lot of fun.
Well, I just think it's really cool too that they're doing that, because so many of the bigger gaming, even just like the people that, the companies that come out with gaming systems, they really don't take that much time and thought, I think, into, like, if something's not working,
once it's released, it's
done. Yeah.
No
and then
more
people are
shut off.
Yeah, and then people are upset about it, whereas I think they're doing a really good job as far as really kind of doing what the public is saying, that, is something right, is something wrong, does something need to be changed, is something not working, I think that's really cool for them to be able to do that. And honestly, like, step up and be like, we messed up on this. We need to take this back real quick and fix this.
I think you see that a lot in PC gaming and stuff, but that's what's so great about Dead by Daylight is it's multi-console already. Still being early on, you can, and more recent to it is the cross platform playing. So you could be playing with somebody on PC when you're on PlayStation or something
That's
else.
really
and
cool.
you get those options just as often. Oh, and they also have the Dead by Daylight mobile too.
That is really cool.
That's very buggy, like we said. It's very new and everything, but it's still, they're working on getting these things out to everybody, which is.
But even the fact that that's an option,
yeah,
and the fact that they're trying and branching out, I think is kudos to them. You know.
Really a lot of fun. So they have the Resident Evil, as we were talking about, which was just released on Netflix. I think on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
I love it so much. I've only been able to watch about 3 episodes so far, but it is so good. It really sticks to the characters and the storyline of Resident Evil. It's not branching out for the most part. I mean, there are new faces in there and stuff to add on to the storyline, but they're not trying to create this whole other world and spin off. They're really set it to this time frame that a lot's in between games.
And this is animated, right?
It is animated,
Do they use the same animation in the games as the
I think
show?
It is. Like, the cutscenes
Similar?
are very similar in that it looks, at points you're really like, is this animated or is this real? And it's so...
The one time, I do have to say, and kind of a little bit off topic, but going on that, the one time I will say, I was like, are you real or are you... animated was definitely with Final Fantasy.
So
that type of animation I'm really into, because I'm like, the detail, you know, that they bring to it is just phenomenal. So
it is I definitely recommend going and looking at that series. So good. Even if you're not a Resident Evil, you can jump in right away because they give enough backstory to the characters and who they are that it's easy enough to follow. Like, you're not going to be lost if you're not familiar with the series.
That's really good to know for somebody like me who hasn't played the games. I've watched a couple playthroughs, but I haven't really played the game. So going into that, and you can just jump right in like that, that's really good. For somebody like me who wants to watch it, you know, might not know what the heck is going on. So
yeah, if you're definitely iffy about the series or something, this is something you can kind of, you know, dip your toes in the water, try it out. Like, okay, that series is pretty good. Maybe I'll watch a playthrough of one of the games. Really get you, probably do the little snowball effect with you.
Yeah.
At least I hope so, because that's what happened to me, and I really enjoy it.
I'll definitely have to check into it.
And that's coming from the Netflix platform, which Netflix also now has Fear Street that they're picking up for one of the, I guess, best-selling horror books out there. Honestly, I've never heard of the series before. I'll throw myself under the bus under that one.
Me too.
But I'm going to go check it out now and see how many variations they have. You've watched part 1 and 2.
Yeah, I did.
Part 2 literally came out today. So you got some free time. So tell us about those.
So I started part 1 last night, and I didn't have the chance to finish it. So when I got off work, I immediately came home and I finished the first one, and I was hooked. I was addicted. The first 5 minutes, you are addicted to it, and you want to watch it. And then I just was like, oh man, I wonder when the second one comes out. And I guess it came out today, so I was like, I'm going to watch it now. So I watched it, and I will tell you right now, if you are a fan of American Horror Story, especially the one that came out last year, the 1984 one.
94, because it takes place, this isn't the 94,
and then it was 78.
78, okay.
It was amazing. It was everything I wanted in a teenage slasher movie. I loved it. It was just the right amount of gory. There was amazing kill scenes. That was just beautiful. And then the storyline in general was perfect. It flowed so well that, and at first I was a little nervous because I heard that they were going backwards in time, and I'm like, okay, so most of the time when you watch a movie, they go obviously forward. And so how are you going to know all of the pieces? Like, how are you going to know what the heck's going on if you don't start obviously in you know where it originated? But oh my god, I can't imagine it any other way. Like, there's a reason why they go in the order that they go in, because they want you to keep guessing. They want you to think about where the story originated in and why are these kids dying and all this stuff, and you have no idea. Like, the first movie, the 94, I thought was absolutely amazing. And then I watched the second one. The second one was even better. And then at the end of every single movie, they have kind of like a teaser trailer
for the
next one. And it says to be continued at the end of it. And you're just like, what? What's happening? What's going to happen? What's going on? And, like, it's just, just the way that they made it flow was just spectacular. And they do the same thing that they do in American Horror Story, which I really appreciated in all three of them. It's the same characters.
Same people
it's
playing.
It's the same
different.
people playing the different. So we find that out not so much in the first and the second one. Like, it's a little different, but the third one, the whole cast is brought back. So kids, the teenagers that died in the first and the second one, they're now in the third one, but they're playing different characters. And this is the 1666. We're going back to where this entire carnage started.
Yeah.
And they brought back the entire cast. And they're just playing different people. And that's what I loved about American Horror Story so much, was because, we learn that they're in the same universe, but these actors and actresses that we know and love are completely different characters. And I just thought it was so cool, just how they were bringing back, because there were certain characters or actors that I loved, and I'm like, and then they died, and I'm like, that sucks, okay. And then, come to find out that, they're doing the third installment, and it was just kudos to, and I don't remember who directed and wrote it, but kudos to them, because they did such an amazing job. Now, I haven't read the books, so I don't know how on point they are with the books, but just from the movie standpoint, it was spectacular, and it was such a watch. Now, you haven't watched them yet, so I don't know if you want to go too much in detail about it, but I can give you my favorite kill scene if that's something you want to hear about.
All right, Kelsey. Well, let's do a spoiler announcement then. Yeah. We'll give a quick spoiler announcement. We'll wait like 10 seconds. Let me throw this question into you. You say that they play the same characters so far and really come back. Is it more of, you talk about American Horror Story, or do you think we'll see some Back to the Future where it's like, oh, this is the great-great-grandmother of this girl playing her?
I honestly think it's going to be like American Horror Story. At least that's what I'm hoping
just
for.
Different townspeople.
Yeah, at least that's what I'm hoping for. If not, I'd be happy with the Back to the Future theory as well, because it would make sense. Because, so you have Sunnyvale and Shadyside. They're two towns that are right next to each other. And Shadyside is where all of the murders and the horror and all that stuff takes place. Sunnyvale is more kind of this dream suburbia type place. There's mansions, and it's quiet, and this quaint little town. And then Shadyside is very much like run down, all the shops are closing, lower income, that kind of stuff. And it would make sense if they would be the, great-great-granddaughter of this character from 94, because a lot of them grew up, and their families grew up when it was called the Union, where both of these towns were one town. It was called the Union. And we just learned about that in 78, where the towns were both together, which honestly isn't that big of a detail. It's more of like, okay, that makes sense.
Some past history to it to really give you.
Right. So I mean, either theory could honestly work with the storyline.
No.
It wouldn't really affect.
That's just like a fun little kind of detail, like especially for people who are into the movies versus just watching them to see if what kind of connection they'll make to
Yeah,
them.
no, just honestly, I just love watching movies that have such a good storyline. Like, one of my favorite horror movies is The Conjuring for that reason.
Oh, I
because
love that.
The storyline itself is beautiful. Like, it just flows, and the story just, the way they tell it is just amazing.
Yes.
And
I like the Insidious.
Insidious is one of those too.
They're
more of
threaded together, perfect alignment.
Well, and they just, I feel like the story, first of all, they stick with the story, the same, kind of chronological story, right? And they just add more developments to it, right?
Yeah.
But the way they write it, it's more of a story movie that just happens to have horror in it. It's not this gory, gutsy movie that has no story, and it's more of just for the kills. I don't really enjoy those horror movies as much, but this, I will tell you, is so much, it's so much involved with the story. That's what you're trying to find out, is what is going on. Why is this happening? All these crazy things are happening to these kids. We want to know why.
Yeah.
We want to know what's going on. So, of course, there's going to be kills and blood and guts and all this stuff, but that's not the focal point that they're trying to make. They want to, it's a mystery and a horror all at the same time.
The thrill.
Yeah, it's a thrill.
It looks really good. I love the coloring.
Yeah.
The colors remind me of the Scream Queen series, which
it very much has the Scream Queen feel, which is what we thought exactly when we saw the trailers for it.
Really good series. Maybe talk about that later, but the Scream Queen was kind of a play on the slasher horror thing.
Yeah.
It kept you guessing, but
the
it did
whole
have
time.
some real horror in it. It's like, oh, this is going to be a classic jump scare, and then they fake you out, and then they do another. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I
get a lot of vibes from it. I did watch like the first 5 minutes, and that's kind of what it felt like.
Very much.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So my favorite kill. So spoiler alert. We gave you some time to click out if you haven't seen the show, haven't seen the movie. My favorite kill scene actually comes from the first one. I won't tell you what character it is. I'm not going to tell you if it's a boy or a girl.
Okay.
Okay, so completely guessing. But they are basically in a supermarket, and things are happening, of course, the killers and all that kind of stuff. And this person throws this other person into, I guess it's a bread slicing machine.
Oh, no.
And this person obviously gets sliced, and it stops about to here. So then the rest of it, like, from here is gone. So the special effects for that was spectacular. I mean,
it was good.
It was amazing how they did the special effects for that and the gory aspect of it. It was just enough gore to where you're like, that sucks. But it wasn't too bad to where you're like, oh my god, I'm gonna throw up. Like, that's terrible.
So not Saw aspect.
No, not Saw. Not Saw aspect.
The like mutilation, like how
No.
Saw is. We're more of the thrill, just fun.
Yeah, it was not. I don't like the Saw franchise. My fiance does. I don't enjoy them for that exact reason because it's obnoxiously gory. Like, there is no reason for that to be that ridiculous. No, thank you. But it was just enough. It was just enough gore to where you're like, that's a lot. Okay.
It adds the fun humor.
It does. It does, and it was just so well done. I guess it was just so impressive to watch, and I would love to see the behind the scenes of how they did that because it was just so cool. And then of course, like, the dummy aspect of it.
Yeah.
So like from here down was a dummy aspect. It looked so real. Like
the
way that, of course, I wouldn't wish anybody to die like that. But the way that you think if that did happen to somebody, that's what they would look like. So the fact that they put that much time and care into not just that kill, but the whole thing in general, like,
that was good.
What would that look like if this happened to that person? What would that look like if, I don't know, something else happened. You know what I mean? Like, so the time and care that they put into it, I feel like they've been working on this for a while.
They didn't just like overdo it.
No.
I'm so excited to go and watch it now. I'm definitely gonna have to.
Yeah, it was such a good. I would rewatch it. This is something like I would watch American Horror Story. Like I watch all the seasons of American Horror Story except for the second one because that was, in my humble opinion, that was the dumbest season.
Which was the second one?
The one that they couldn't pick a storyline where it was aliens, Nazis, insane asylum, everything under the sun. And that's why I didn't like it, because they couldn't stick to a storyline. It had nothing to do with the graphics. It had nothing to do with the actors and actresses. It was literally all the writing. It was because they couldn't keep with one singular storyline. They had to throw in, there was some type of Frankenstein-esque monsters that the Nazi doctor was making that was in the woods. Like, it was just too much. It was too many storylines. I didn't care for it. It was my fiance's favorite. He watches it all the time. I don't. But every other season I watch all the time, and that is definitely, I'm putting that on my list of, I will sit down and watch that any chance that I get.
Well, I might hold you to it after the stream.
Yeah, Stranger Things too. It has a very much a Stranger Things vibe as well.
Yet to see that one. I need to sit down and watch
You've
that.
You've never seen Stranger Things?
No, I've never seen Stranger Things.
Shame on you!
I know,
that
shame.
Series, you will notice a couple, I think I pointed out 2 actresses who were in Stranger Things are in this one as well. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Which was really cool. One of my favorites was there's a redheaded girl that plays, and I don't remember her name, but she plays in Stranger Things in the later seasons. I believe the last season that came out with, or second to last maybe, I don't remember. She also plays in this. She plays in 78, and it's right in her vibe. Like that is her aesthetic. She plays in Stranger Things, which takes place in the 80s.
Yeah.
And this is in 78, and she does so well in it, and she's a redhead, and I don't remember her name, but she's one of my favorites, and she plays in this too. So it's very much a Stranger Things meets American Horror Story meets, I don't know, Scream Queens. Yeah, it's so good. And it just really pays homage to that 1980s slasher movies.
Yeah.
Like this one, so the first one had very much like a Scream type vibe to it, which very much fit 1994 aesthetic. This one had very much Camp Crystal Lake, like Friday the 13th feel to it. And I'm wondering how they're going to have this one, if it's going to be like an old-timey movie type feel, or if they're just going to blow it out the park and be like today's horror.
That kind of really fits, especially with the timeline, like you said, like 94, Scream was like 2009 there. The Camp Crystal Lake was right in that era, I think 77 maybe or something.
Yeah.
I know Star Wars is that year, but
that's
the only day that pops in my head.
That's why I'm saying that I think they took a lot of time on this series, because they made not just the colors, because the color aspect, 94 is very much a 90s movie, like Scream all the way, the coloring of the clothes and the aesthetic and all that stuff. Excuse me. This was very much, we're going to Friday the 13th. We're going with that 70s orange tint vibe to it, and it was amazing. They took so much care and time and effort in not just the special effects, but the storyline and the surroundings, like where they shot all the scenes, and every little minute detail was beautiful. And I think that that's just something to be said in this time era. I think we've lost a lot of that in a lot of our horror movies. It's the cheap thrills, like the gorier the better, and how can we push the envelope even farther on how we kill people in movies now, like things like that. And I think it's just not, we don't get the storyline that it should, that we should. And now with this, I think we're getting that. So I think it's great.
So maybe a new wave of old classic horror and everything. All right, guys, we're gonna talk about one last topic before we go anywhere. We want to talk about Halloween Horror Nights.
Yes.
We just got the new house released. It's Hill House, is it? Comes from
Haunting of Hill House.
Haunting of Hill House. If anybody, another Netflix classic.
It's amazing.
If anybody's familiar with that one, I wonder if we're gonna see a theme of getting these Netflix houses.
I think so because
Resident Evil had a big year with the
Stranger Things did too.
Stranger Things did. I wonder if we'll see a lot of collabs, especially with this Hill House.
I think they would be absolutely insane not to do the Fear Street stuff next year.
And Fear Street, I think, is going to be a big. I think we'll, if we can't get a house in because they've had to, I think we'll get a scare
zone. Yeah,
a good scare zone with maybe different themes. Maybe we'll see a 66 scare zone. Maybe we'll see a 78 scare zone. Maybe not. But we've been checking up on those. Again, we're really excited to hear your guys' opinions on these houses that are coming out. What do you think we're going to see? We didn't really get any responses to our poll. We'll keep an eye out. Maybe next week we'll have some more updates to give you guys, and maybe we'll get some more feedback from you guys. Also, tickets. There is no ticket updates.
No.
As far as Universal, they have announced that they might open up the packages, like the frequent fear again.
They've been asking for polls from people I've seen on Twitter of how they would feel about the packages and stuff. So we might be seeing packages coming out. So, but again, with packages, also more people are going to come in. So
I really think
keep that in
they're
mind.
waiting on seeing their numbers. They're really trying to get a good number, and they don't want to overcrowd the parks. They don't want to oversell and have overflow again like we do this year with the 2 tickets coming in.
Well, one last thing I'm going to say about Halloween Horror Nights too was I did see today on Twitter and on Facebook that Revenge of the Tooth Fairy, which we had last year for the pop-up houses, and Bride of Frankenstein Returns, that was on the pop-up houses, are going to be here this year.
They are?
In full swing. And also the Puppet Masters are going to be there as well. Those are all of the houses so far that they quietly have released. The bigger ones, of course, they're bringing back, bringing there as well, like Hill House and everything. But I do believe those were confirmed. I kind of seen them floating around, and people were saying it was confirmed that they were coming. I will double check on that. It might be just a rumor, but I believe those are coming back. So
the other ones to be posted are those 3 of the Beetle, the fact that Jack's here, and Hill House.
Yeah, and then the other ones that I did mention, they have been confirmed, but I'm going to double check on that. But I want to see what you guys feel about maybe seeing those houses in full swing, because we didn't get to see them last year because they were a pop-up house, and we had obviously the plexiglass in front of us as well. Yeah. So how do you feel about those houses coming back? Do they deserve to come back? Were they scary enough? Because in my humble opinion, one of them was kind of scary and the other one wasn't. I'm going to let you guys be the judge of that. So yeah, that's something to keep on your radar as well.
Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're going to be active on the social media accounts after the stream. So send us some messages. We'll be interacting with you guys all throughout. But thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, this is Easy Listening. And remember, guys, possession is 9/10 of the law.
Bye, guys. Care.